My name is Philip Herzog, and I'm the Director of Development and Community Engagement for the Council of Churches of the Ozarks. I'm excited to share a story with you today about scarcity and security, about need and accessibility, about lanes of service, diversity, and a community coming together to invest in the folks who need it most. My friends, the Council is one 501c3 with many programs and broad outreach. And I know that with your help, there will be a rich ROI. At CCO, we have revised our scope and scale to invest heavily in programs that help move the needle. We are seeking funders to assist with the critical first step of creating a single point of entry for all those reaching out to CCO for assistance. For those motivated to work towards stability, a centralized case manager will help guide the way. Ramona Baker founded the Safe to Sleep Women's Shelter in 2011 under the CCO umbrella with the simple idea that the unsheltered women were vulnerable. It soon became clear that while just providing rest was critically important, it did little to change the trajectory of these women's lives. In the late 2000s, Safe to Sleep added a case manager, a guest advocate, and it made all the difference.
When a lady comes to Safe to Sleep, we usually give them about a week to settle in, make sure they're going to stay. About half of our women leave within a week. So after that, they will meet with one of our case managers, and she'll sit down and basically get her story. So listening is first. We'll set goals. Usually it's 4 to 5 goals. They're personalized for that guest. And I come in specifically to work on housing. You know, a big part of what we do is not just meeting with somebody and then saying, go here and go here and go here. We try to go with them.
And what is it that you do here in Springfield?
Well, I do some in-home care, and I am retired. Other than that, I just kind of see the sights and go from there.
Living large.
Yes.
Well, and I know that you have a relationship with Jessica, our guest advocate. How did you first come to meet Jessica?
I met Jessica when I had a short stay in Safe to Sleep.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful place. I couldn't ask for anything better. She helped me with helping me get furniture, for example, helping me get into an apartment. She has just been great.
If we have someone who gets to the end, they're now housed, they have a job, does that necessarily mean they're no longer in poverty?
Oh, definitely not. Getting housed is a great first step out of the shelter, but it is definitely not a step out of poverty. When people are in poverty, their life is chaotic, but they just need somebody to sit down in front of them and give them direction. And that's really ultimately what a case manager does. In a lot of the outreaches here, there are so many people that are just on that edge of, that poverty cliff, and maybe having that case manager will push them away from that cliff and get them in the right direction.
Crosslines is another outreach of CCO, designed to meet the emergency food needs of our most vulnerable neighbors.
Crosslines, from its beginning, existed to be an emergency food source for families in crisis and in poverty. And still today, after 52 years, that's what we're doing, is addressing immediate hunger needs for families in crisis and in poverty.
Is there any meaning in the name Crosslines?
Yeah, so Crosslines is where the lines of compassion and concern cross the lines of human need.
Well, I know that you've had a caseworker before.
Sure.
Can you tell us a little bit about how it came to be that you realized you needed a caseworker?
Families who are in crisis are focused on getting food to eat for the next day for survival purposes, but we really wanted to go further and be able to help families who were interested and willing to work their way out of the situation they were in, basically to move them from scarcity to security, to where they didn't need us anymore. We established the community resource specialist position who did case management, and we learned a lot in a short amount of time.
Well, tell us more about what you learned. What went well, and then I know the program has ended. Sure. Kind of walk us through that story.
Right, yeah. It began in 2016, and having a food pantry opens the door to having a person on staff that had a chance to be more intimately connected with the clients that we serve, be more familiar with their real life struggles that they're going through on a daily basis. It's just not something that's possible in the setting of a pantry where we're serving sometimes over 100 families a day. That's very challenging to do that with every single client.
Why did the program eventually end at Crosslines?
Sure. Primarily, what happened was really kind of we opened a floodgate, so to speak. And there are a lot of organizations in town doing case management, but a lot of those organizations, they have funding restrictions or they have billable hour restrictions. Our case manager didn't have those type of restraints. And that meant that a lot of our friends and colleagues in town doing great work with people, when they had especially difficult cases that they just couldn't quite go far enough to help those families, those cases, a lot of them seemed to make their way to us, which again, a blessing to be able to have that freedom to go further with families, absolutely a huge blessing, but we couldn't scale the program fast enough. The funding wasn't scalable. So kind of washed out pretty quick because we just couldn't keep up with the demand.
Regardless of the specific type of need the under-resourced experienced, a common theme emerges: the need to walk alongside families in a personal way as they navigate the resources that are available. Knowing which string to pull and which to leave, something that would never get better without a system and someone to help you navigate it. We have to build a bridge for families to get from scarcity to security and include a guide along the way. Band-aids don't cut it. In 2021, CCO hired David Edson, a career nonprofit professional with experience in systems building, having worked with international relief agencies such as COH and CHCH, and serving as the executive director for an award-winning food pantry in Colorado Springs. What would you say is our target audience? Who are we here to help?
Yeah, this program is really designed to help a few different audiences that we're currently serving. So Safe to Sleep, our women's homeless shelter, we have relationships that are being built in there every day. And so that's just a good step up for us and a good transition for them to be more intentional. We're really focusing as well on historically marginalized groups of people here in Springfield.
What else is a burning passion you want to share about this program?
There's a lot of burning passion, but that won't fit in 10 minutes. So good. In my nonprofit career, I've had the opportunity to survey thousands of beneficiaries of programs like Council of Churches. And one of the things that I have found time and time again is that relationship is one of the things that people highlight as a serious need to move past where they're at, to achieve the goals that they have on them personally and professionally. So a program like this, it's so relationship focused and based because when you think about people, like the homeless population, for example, there's tons of programs out there to help them be educated in things like workforce and resume writing and stuff like that. But precious few of those programs do the follow-up side of it.
I love, stuff is important. People are more important. It makes me think of a quote I've heard before. Essentially, poverty isn't necessarily always a lack of money, but it's a lack of understanding your potential. And this casework program is meant to build that potential and sustain it for people.
Yeah, absolutely.
The journey from scarcity to security is not a simple path. These caseworkers we've talked to you about in displaying what the need is will certainly make a big difference. On your journey from scarcity to security, it can be scary. Not just because change is hard, but because lifestyles and cultures and what is known is comfortable. These caseworkers will be familial, relational guides for the folks who need the help most. Our programs in 50 years of history have taught us that relationship is the greatest motivator in change. There's a lot of bridges that get people needs and goods, but very few Sherpas who help them climb that mountain. We know that with linking arms with the United Way, we will be able to link those arms in a greater way for the neighbors who need it most. Join us and continue this story to serve our neighbors in need, because we really are better together.